In this video, I'm going to walk you through Cricut Design Space. One thing I wish I knew as a Cricut beginner was some of the simple things you could do within Cricut Design Space to get started. If I had known that, I would have taken my Cricut machine out of the box earlier than I did. I waited so long because I thought Cricut Design Space was so hard to use. Little did I know that with a simple walkthrough from someone who knows it, it's quite easy to grasp. So let me walk you through Cricut Design Space. So when you first open Cricut Design Space, you come to this home page. In the home page, you can see just the basic things. Welcome. It welcomes you by your name, and you can see here the bell will be where all your notifications would come. My stuff is all the projects that you've made within Cricut Design Space. You'll find them there. And then the next button just shows us all the Cricut machines, and it shows you the ones that you've got set up. So for me, I've got the Cricut Explorer Air 2 and the Cricut Joy. A new project will open the canvas for you. So when you click on new project, it opens up the canvas. The canvas is basically where we work from. We'll go up to File. File New Window is a favorite function that I like within Cricut Design Space. It allows you to operate multiple windows at the same time. And then the other button is to quit, which is the same as pressing X on the other side. Now under View, that's just more to reload Cricut Design Space or force a reload or toggle the full screen. So that's if you wanted to work with a bigger screen, and you would click toggle full screen. And then the help. The help button within Cricut Design Space takes you to all the useful information that you might need, help videos that Cricut has put in place to help us if you've got any questions. Now we go to our hamburger menu, and under there you can see your profile. The home button will take you back to the home dashboards, and Canvas will open up the canvas where we work from. Then there's just additional information around your product setup, calibration of your Cricut machine, any firmware updates, account details. If you have an old Cricut machine, you can go to link cartridges. There's also the Design Space settings where you can choose the application experience. For example, the beta. You can look at a beta version or the live version of Cricut Design Space. You can also see what's new. For new, just would open a new canvas. Your canvas is the workspace where all the designs are created, where you edit your designs, and you have a ruler along here. I don't usually use the ruler, but it's there if you need it. The other thing I like is you can toggle the grid lines. So if you click right here in the corner, you can remove the grid lines. So for example, if you were taking a screenshot of what you were designing and you didn't want the grid lines to show, you could do that. And if you click again in the corner there, you get wider or larger grid lines. And if you click again, then you go back to the default grid lines. So we'll just go down this sidebar. So templates would show you all the different templates, as the word says. I don't use this often, but it just helps you. Say you were making design, like you wanted to see what would my design look like on a t-shirt, for example. You could come in here and kind of search t-shirt, and then it could show you some examples of t-shirts, and then you could click on there and it would bring it to your canvas. So it's just for reference only. That template wouldn't be saved with your project. So it's just for you to kind of have a play and see, oh, okay, if I was doing like a text-based design, where would it sit and what would it look like? So it's just something you would use, like the name says, as a template. Design like projects. Projects takes you to all the different projects within Cricut Design Space. So the A here shows Cricut Access. So if you have Cricut Access and you pay for that membership, you will see all these that have the A on it. So they're only if you're subscribed to Cricut Access, but you can see there's some free ones. So here would be where you go, say, for example, if you wanted, we'll just go Christmas. If you wanted examples of Christmas projects to do, then that's how you would use projects. So there's a whole lot of shapes that you can use within Cricut Design Space, and depending on what you are making, so there's over 300,000 images within Cricut Design Space, and you can search for, say, the image that you want. Maybe if you are making something for fall, maybe you want a pumpkin, you could just search pumpkin and it will bring up images of pumpkins that you could use for your fall designs. Text, that's the main thing I use because I'm mainly coming in here to work on different designs, and I'm mainly printing personalized products, so I need to have to use text quite a bit, the text feature, and within Cricut Design Space you can choose the different fonts that you can use. There's the Cricut fonts, system fonts. System fonts just is all the fonts that are on your machine. You can see them right there. Bookmarked, I like this feature because all the fonts that I use often, I bookmark them. That way I always have them handy. And again, the ones with the A are the Cricut Access fonts, and the other ones would be ones that are either in my system, or they're Cricut fonts, or they're ones that I've uploaded from places like Creative Fabrica. So this is what you can do within fonts. So I'll just choose this one for now. So phrases. So phrases is quite good if you were looking for, you were stuck and you didn't know, okay, what do I do? You could come in here and just search through and see different designs that you could use for your designs. Editable images. That once again, it just shows you like for two parts are the parts that you can actually edit. So for example, if you liked this one, you would bring that to your canvas, and then you could edit the name and put your own name, and then that's ready for you to cut. You can resize it and cut it. So I like phrases. It's good when you're stuck and you're not sure what to design, how to design it. So you could just do it like that, and it's quite handy. So upload is if you had an image that you wanted to upload or bring in an SVG, maybe from Creative Fabrica or somewhere, you could use the upload feature for that. Monograms, I like this feature within Cricut Design Space. So you've got different types of monograms that you can use. I mainly use this one, the modern one. So for example, you can change it, put your initials there, and then it will show you what that looks like, different types of monograms. So now you don't have to buy monograms off Etsy or off Creative Fabrica. You could just come in here, monogram, add your monogram to your canvas, and make it. I totally like and I use the monogram feature. And in the header menu, we can start here with the undo button. So that's just like if you were using Microsoft Word, undo is undo. And in the header menu, we can start. An operation is for you to select what you want to do. So if you were just working on a design that you want to cut on your Cricut machine, you would select basic cut. Draw is if you are using the Cricut pens to draw. Pen is if you are writing. The foiling tool, you'd select foil. Now, guide is used if you just want to use a shape or the design just as a guide. You don't want to actually cut out the guide. So the guide is not something you cut out. It's like if you were making, for example, maybe you were making some labels and you wanted to just visualize what that would look like if you say you had a rectangle this size and you just wanted to see, okay, if I had a name on that rectangle, what would it look like? You would select that rectangle and then go in operation and select guide. Then that just shows you that rectangle as a guide that you can use to just kind of see what the actual end design would look like. So that's how you would use guide, but I don't normally use guide, but that's how you use it. You can see if there's no text selected, you won't see that whole text toolbar. But when you select or you put a text on the canvas, then you see all the text related functionality. So you can see we move on to font color. So font color just helps you choose the color of font you want. I use that mainly when I'm working with pens. Deselect and select helps you select all the designs you've got on the canvas or select them. So that's how you use select all and deselect. Edit allows you now to cut, copy, paste, just like you would do within Microsoft Word. And it also allows you to duplicate, which is to create another copy of the design you have there. So you can duplicate in quite a number of ways within Cricut Design Space. So you can do that there when you go edit, duplicate, or you could right click and select duplicate, Control D shortcut, or within the layers menu that will also allow you to duplicate. So the next one is align. Align would work if you had several boxes of text and you wanted to align that text. So what you would do is you would select all the text fields, and then align would become activated. Arrange, I use that mainly if, say for example, I had a rectangle there and I wanted to just see what, say for example, the word mum would look like in that rectangle. I would usually, what I would do is I would color this a different color, maybe purple, and then I'd bring mum in there to see. But as you can see, for me to actually see the words, I need to bring the word mum, bring it forward or bring it to the front, and then I can actually see what it looks like in the box. So that's what arrange is used for. It's used to bring something to the front or bring it forward, send it to the back, and so on. And you also have the group or ungroup functionality there. I'll just show you what group and ungroup do. So if you ungroup just makes each letter ungrouped from the main word or main text. So that's what ungroup would do. It allows you to play with each single letter, whereas group, if you select, you could then go group, and that gives you one piece of text. So that's that. And group can also, you can also do the exactly the same thing over here in the layers panel. So this will ungroup, same thing we just did. Select the text. So now it's ungrouped. What flip does is, so flip horizontally basically does, it mirrors the design. So some people say they do that instead of hitting mirror before they use heat transfer vinyl. So it's up to you, but I don't normally use this functionality, to tell the truth. So that's what flip horizontally does. Flip vertically, that's that. The offset feature is quite a popular feature. I'll show you how it's used. So the offset feature allows you to add an offset, and it can be a cornered one or a square one. And so as you can see already there in the blue, that's a 0.635 centimeter offset. And usually I do ones that are like a 0.2, and then you need to remember to hit apply. Then that just sort of gives you an offset around the text that you're working with. So when you have an offset, it just means if you are wanting to cut the offset first and then layer your text on top, you could do that to make some beautiful designs. Maybe you can have the offset, cut that with iron-on vinyl, and then the other layer, cut it with some glitter vinyl, and just create a unique design. So that's how you would use the offset feature. The warp feature gives you access to play around with how your design will look. So you could warp it this way, and then you can also adjust that warp. Now the size feature, that just measures the length and width of your design. And if you unlocked the sizing, you could then play around with, you could move around and just resize your design. Rotate allows you to move. You can either rotate by using the arrows up and down, or if you selected, same thing. Don't normally use position. It's just a way to move the design around on the canvas. See, we can select what font we're actually using. So within Cricut Design Space, you've got the Cricut fonts, and the ones with an A are the Cricut Access fonts. You need to have Cricut Access subscription to use those. If you don't have, or if you're not paying for the Cricut Access subscription, then you would be paying for those fonts, which I don't do. I've got the Cricut Access subscription, but you can also bring in fonts from Creative Fabrica, a font from Canva. So there's so many opportunities for you to use different types of fonts. System fonts are just all the fonts that are sitting on your computer. They could be ones that you've downloaded from Creative Fabrica or from the font, or just fonts that are on your laptop or on your computer. And then the functionality I like is bookmarking. So all the fonts that I use quite often, I will have bookmarked them, so I don't have to always think of which font I'm using, which is really handy. And it also keeps all the recent fonts you've used, it keeps them there for you as well. So I really like that about fonts. Style, regular, italic, bold, different styles. Font size, you can adjust the font size by the up and down arrows, or you could just adjust it by moving the ends of the text box like that. That adjusts the font size. Letter spacing is like the space between the letters here. You could, like you see, if you go like that, the space between the letters increases or decreases. Line space is the space between two lines of text. So you can either increase the space, reduce the space, bring the lines closer together, and so on. Alignment, you can align to the left, align your text to the left, you can center your text, you can put it to the right, and so on, just like you do within Word. And then curve. Curve is what we used before the warp feature came along. So curve just, it's quite a useful feature if you are creating a design that's sort of circular and you wanted part of the text to appear like that. And then advanced just lets you ungroup like we were doing before. And then advanced. Now we'll look at the layers menu. So within the layers menu, again, we have the group and ungroup, which I've shown you earlier. We have the duplicate function. Now, and this is if you wanted to delete whatever was selected on the canvas. And then this just shows you all the different layers of this design. Color sync, for us, we've just got one color, but if you were doing multiple colored design, you would see all the different colors there. We'll just move to the bottom here and show you the slice, combine, attach, flatten, and contour features, which are quite popular. You'll find that you'll probably use those from time to time. I might use shapes to better show you the slice and the combine features, how that works. So say, for example, we had two shapes. I'll just color them different so we can see what we are doing. So the slice tool, you use that tool to slice two ungrouped images at a time. It will only highlight when the action is possible. So if you select, so say for example, slice would be deactivated if you just had one shape selected. But if you selected both shapes, then slice would be active. And then if you hit slice, what that then does, you can slice off where the two shapes overlap. So if you wanted to do something fancy like that, if you wanted to do a design like that, so that's what the slice feature does. It's sliced off where these two shapes were overlapping. The next one that we want to look at is if the two shapes were together again and we selected both shapes, we would then activate combine. Now exclude, it will look to exclude that place where the two shapes overlap. It excludes that from the design. It removes that from the design. That's exclude. Back to our two shapes. If we had them overlapping and we selected both shapes, we could then come in here, intersect. It means it will just leave where the two shapes overlap. It just shows us the intersect. And then if we select our two shapes again, subtract would subtract one of the shapes. So in this case, it subtracted or it took off the layer on top, which was the circle. Unite will unite both of those shapes together as one. Then they become one shape without that part where they intersect just becomes united as one. That's your unite feature. And then the next one we want to look at, and always remember, for the functionality to work, you need to select both of the layers. Weld, the best way to show weld, let me show you weld using text. It will make more sense if you were using like a cursive font. If you're using a cursive font, if I made it bigger, you can see here where each of the letters meet. You can see where the A ends and where the N starts, where the N ends and the D. But so if you used weld, if you selected that whole design and you came here and selected weld, weld unites everything into just one piece. You won't have the line there to divide one letter from another. So that's quite handy when you're cutting it. It will just cut it as the one piece without the ends of each letter there. So weld is quite useful in that. The weld tool, it's a tool that lets you combine two or more images or two or more letters into one solid cut with no seam, with no, where you could see where the A ends and the N. It just combines it all into one. So that's pretty handy. So, but the thing is, you can't unweld. You would have to come and use the undo button, and then you get the seams or the ends of those letters back in there. So when your design is bigger than what the mat allows, you get this error come up. So when you see this, it just means you're using the Cricut Joy, but you're trying to cut something that's 33.8 centimeters by 11.97 centimeters, which is too big for the Cricut Joy. So that's why you would see that error there. But if you resized your design, you would see that error disappears. And this I symbol is used just to deselect that text box from the canvas. It works if you had a lot of text boxes on the canvas and you wanted to deselect some of the text boxes so that you could make one before the other, you would use this deselect button. So if we come back here, down, the attach tool, you use this tool to attach two or more images to each other so that they are cut or drawn together. So if we had two or more images, if we wanted to attach the circle and the heart, we would select them and then go attach, and then they are now one image. They're attached, and then you can detach them, which is pretty handy. Um, Flatten is used mainly if you are doing stickers, and I don't do a lot of stickers, so I don't use flatten a lot, but flatten, you would use it to flatten your stickers before you go and use the print and cut function within Cricut Design Space. So when your design is bigger than what the mat allows, you get this error come up. So when you see this, it just means you're using the Cricut Joy, but you're trying to cut something that's 33.8 centimeters by 11.97 centimeters, which is too big for the Cricut Joy. So that's why you would see that error there. But if you resized your design, you would see that error disappears. Contouring is used if you wanted to remove something from your design. So, for example, let's do it for an image. So if we went to our images, say for example, I like flower, choose a flower. So say for example, we were working with this one, add it to the canvas. So what contour would do is if you selected, so say for example, if I liked this flower, but I didn't want the eyes and the mouth there, I would use the contour feature to remove those. So I could just really just come in here and just remove those from my design. That's how you use the contour feature. Yeah, and I think we've gone through, we went through our side menu, our header menu, our layers menu. That's basically Cricut Design Space. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you